a Playlyst original.
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast,
where we review the pilot episodes of TV shows to answer your question, should I watch this?
My name is Mitu.
And my name is BJ.
And this week, we're watching Daredevil, Born Again on Disney+.
So stay tuned to find out if Mitu would be a vigilante.
Sure. Yeah, if anyone has ever heard even one episode of this show, or even just my voice right now, I wonder if they would be surprised by my answer.
Okay, stay tuned to find out what Mitu's vigilante name would be, even though she would never be a vigilante.
Okay, I'll take it. Until then, why don't you let us know what happened in this first episode?
Sure. Daredevil Born Again begins several years after the event of Daredevil, and a year after blind lawyer Matt Murdock, played by Charlie Cox, stopped his activities as the masked vigilante. In this first season, we're going to see Murdock continue to fight for justice as a lawyer, while former crime boss Wilson Fisk, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, is elected mayor of New York City, putting the pair on a collision course. So Mitu, are you excited that Daredevil is back?
I thought that Matt Murdock was very charming on She-Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
I have a roommate, and clearly many listeners on this show enjoy Daredevil. So I know that my partner was very excited about this. He loved the Netflix show. Our listeners are pumped for this one. For me, without that experience, I was just curious about this show. I wasn't eagerly anticipating it like Daredevil Hive has been. I think this one has y'all fed to get ahead of our review a little bit. But for me, my really only point of reference for him was his brief foray into She-Hulk, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed him on that show.
Similar over on my side. I didn't watch the Netflix show. So everything I knew was the rave reviews, his appearance on She-Hulk, and multiple episodes, which was really good. And then seeing Wilson Fisk, or Kingpin, on the show Echo and his role as a crime boss. So I think that helped introduce the characters well, especially because Daredevil Born Again truly follows up on the previous series and does not try and walk you into the story.
No, it drops you right in. So I definitely spent the first 5 minutes being deeply annoying to my partner because I was like, okay, and who is that? And why are we crying? And who is that person with this person? And why is this person so mad? And so it felt weird to be so confused by a superhero show or concept because typically it's like, you know, this guy good, this guy bad.
Yeah.
But it really drops you in with some action right at the top. I wish there was more throughout the show, but we did get it in the first few minutes. But within that action and within being dropped in, you definitely are on your own to understand context from the Netflix show. And I would say context from Echo.
Yeah, the timeline is not clear to me, but I think you need all of those previous shows to understand what's happening. Because as you said, in like the first 5 minutes, a lot of relationships are hinted at, but I just know names and I was having trouble picking up all the names, let alone understanding Matt's connection to these people.
That does make me feel better, though, because sometimes I think, all right, I guess BJ will just explain this to me like I'm 8 years old tomorrow. So it's helpful to know that you two were like, okay, hold on. Now, who was Vanessa again? Like, and just sort of jumping yourself back in, too.
Yeah, I wish I could provide more knowledge for you, but this really does require you to have watched the Netflix series.
What I will say, though, is that first action scene was very fun. Bullseye is a terrifying villain.
Great action, great combat. It's fun seeing Daredevil run around. It did make me ask a question I've always asked about this character. Does he just have a mental map of New York? Like, how does he know what direction he's going?
Oh, yeah. I guess he is a New York boy through and through. He even identifies where his date is from her accent. So I wonder if that's what it is and why he feels so beholden to the city. I would say some of the best acting that I've seen across Marvel series happened in the exchange between Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio. When Fisk and Murdock sit down at that diner across from each other and they're kind of sizing each other up, Fisk from the perspective of like, is this man going to try to stop me in my rise? Murdock trying to figure out what is Fisk's game by trying to get elected? Is it wanting to possibly, it seemed like they were hinting at trying to have a directory of masked vigilantes. Is it trying to protect yourself legally so you can keep doing crimes? So I thought that was like such a juicy scene and one that existed exclusively within the world of the show. So it was interesting from that perspective. Like, I get that you needed to have a sense of their history, but I didn't need much context to understand those two people don't like each other and seem to both have pretty good reason for it.
That's a good point. That was probably a highlight scene. You felt the tense relationship. You felt that they just don't like each other. And I like seeing a hero and a villain interact, I guess, outside of the battlefield.
Yeah.
Like, I never thought they were going to just attack each other in that diner. And so it was exciting and also scary to see them have this calm conversation where you're like, they're just thinking about what they can do to each other next as soon as they get up and leave this diner.
And it highlighted Murdock's inner conflict because he told himself, I'm going to retire this Daredevil situation. This is not good. It's harming my friends and family. It's putting us in danger. So I will just seek justice through being a lawyer. And you can tell he is itching for that mask when he's sitting across from Fisk. And Fisk even says at one point, you know, who am I talking to? Matt Murdock or Daredevil? Because he wanted to understand who the threats are coming from. And I thought that was really interesting of like, are you threatening me like, and I'll see you in court, or are you about to be back in these streets?
And I think that's one of the issues I had with this pilot. I don't like Matt as much as I like Daredevil. And so having the second half of this pilot be Matt Murdock, the lawyer, was kind of a letdown. I wanted to see more vigilante Daredevil.
Especially because the show truly opens with a bang. So I thought, whoa, like this guy's powers are fascinating. I want to see more of this. And then instead it was like him just hearing really well and like understanding what was happening in other rooms.
Good.
Yeah, he was just really good at eavesdropping, which obviously I think you and I would both really love that power.
I don't know about that.
Okay, sure, with your nosy self. But all that said, that's really all that we saw for the rest of it as a light spoiler, is like him turning to his date and being like, I think this is the outcome of this. And she's like, how do you know? And he's like, I hear a living room like 3 blocks away. And it's like, that's really cool, but would love to see those applied in action as well.
Yeah. Which they're probably setting up for. This is something they've been building up for, fans have been waiting for, and these are long episodes, so they're not going to rush maybe as they have in other Marvel Disney Plus series, but they're asking a lot for new fans who just want to see Daredevil.
Yeah, the show is called Daredevil Born Again, not Daredevil Born Again as Matt Murdock.
And I do know, and I don't know enough about this, so all of our comic book listeners, let us know your feelings. Born Again is a special storyline from the Daredevil comics that they're adapting.
Okay. So y'all let us know what happens.
Or if they're doing a good adaptation of that famous storyline.
Yeah, are they doing justice by it? Because Born Again is a big phrase.
Especially when they're like reviving the Daredevil series.
3 days later.
Okay.
Little biblical humor.
I mean, Ash Wednesday wasn't long ago.
Shout out.
So me too. Will you watch more episodes of Daredevil Born Again on Disney Plus?
I have a compound review.
Okay.
I would say I have a compound rating. I would say if you are not Daredevil Hive, like if you did not watch the Netflix show, I think that Matt Murdock is interesting. I think I like him in addition to Daredevil, unlike you. You only like the Grand Dame, not Karen Huger. So for me, I would recommend if you are searching for a hero show to try the Daredevil that's on Disney Plus now from Netflix to have context first. Maybe if it's like, I'm sure some Reddit post, this is what I'm going to do, has like, watch these 5 episodes and you'll kind of understand what's going on. I want to do that first, then go back into this because they are acting real good on this one. So I can tell that this is a lovely show. I just think I'm missing a ton of context to confidently say I will watch Daredevil Born Again seriously and recommend it to people if they are not familiar with the Daredevil series already. Now, if you watched Daredevil on Netflix, I would recommend you watch Daredevil Born Again seriously. Because it was good.
Yeah, I feel the same way. If you've already seen the Netflix version, watch this seriously. If you're new, like me, I think I'll do something similar where I will watch the first Daredevil series maybe while cooking or eating lunch just to get familiar with the characters and the relationships, and then dive into Born Again a little more seriously because I like the tension and the stakes, and I'm curious what Fisk has planned for New York City.
That Vincent D'Onofrio, he is just arresting on screen.
Okay, so me too.
Yes.
You had to come up with a vigilante name that you would never use while being a vigilante. What would it be?
The Nosy Neighbor.
Why is it like a cute one?
I just want to know your business. I'm not doing anything with it, but I do want to know your business. That's my whole vigilante shtick. I'm not coming in like a hero. I'm not trying to save the day. My favorite activity is when there's a good, juicy argument on the sidewalk, and me and my puppy will just sit by the window and take it in.
Or, not to call you out too much, you like to go to coffee shops with a friend of yours. And then if you happen to sit near a nice conversation, y'all will quiet down to just absorb the atmosphere.
Well, we're red-blooded Americans. That's just something that people do. When something juicy is happening next to you at a table, you don't quiet down. BJ, you and I have had too many meals for you to deny.
Not to the extent you have. I'm just going to reference Friendsgiving 2024.
Okay. We don't have to say anything else, but just know, email me at askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. I got some juice at that Friendsgiving. Very fascinating.
It means you got up from the table because people were talking too much and interrupting.
Yeah, this is now just telling y'all just a story about our lives. But BJ brought me to a Friendsgiving and we were at a very long table. And the other side of the table was having a very, very juicy conversation about complicated family histories and just fascinating subject. And the people around me were just chatting like a more interesting thing were not absolutely happening on the other side of the table. So I had to get up and walk over. And I even asked the host, I said, are you describing a television show or is this someone's life? And I had it confirmed to me that it was someone's life.
Someone at the Friendsgiving.
Yeah. So, first person storytelling too.
And I applaud you. You will go to the source. You will get that juice.
The nosy neighbor strikes again.
I'll wait for the nosy neighbor to bring it back and give me a recap.
Exactly. You will always be the Seth to my Jessica Fletcher.
I don't know what that means.
It's a Murder, She Wrote reference. Real ones will understand.
Well, if you're a real one of the Pilot Podcast, then you already know to head to our website, thepilotpodcast.com, and I bet you already follow us on all your favorite podcast platforms.
You can also follow us on social media at The Pilot Pod, and you can send thoughts, feelings, show recommendations, your favorite gossip that you've overheard to askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.